Good morning. Things are a little quieter this morning. All the camping is emptied out. Quite probable. I'll check one thing here. That's good. We have the book of Isaiah starting us out today. On Sundays we have 2 readings before the gospel instead of 1. And the book of Isaiah is an extraordinary book. In the book of Isaiah we read about the highway from Egypt to Mesopotamia, where all the people will mix. Imagine at that time when the people are in exile in Babylon. They have the stories in their heads about the slavery, the oppression. They're not doing much better in Babylon, and yet they're learning to live among the people there and do well, flourish. It's a humble position to be knocked off your high horse. But many times we get knocked off our high horse because we behave like we're above everybody else. And here in today's reading we have another theme that we find in Isaiah a lot. Well, the same theme that I just mentioned about the road, the highway, but it's an attitude of kindness and goodness toward the nations, toward the other peoples who are different. And it's a maturing of the sense of responsibility toward others. Because if they're chosen, it's to be a light to the nations. It's a role of service, not a role of domination. We really have a bad bug in us about domination. We want to dominate others. And we're all children of God, made in His image and likeness. And how to behave like that, and how to develop a society and relationships in society that allows us to see each other as image and likeness of God and respect each other as such. And so I like these words today in Isaiah. I come to gather nations of every language, not just nations who speak Aramaic and Hebrew. Nations of every language, even the Irish, can you imagine? The people in Papua New Guinea, the people in Russia, the people in the American native peoples, the South American native peoples. I come to gather people of every nation, of every language. This is marvelous. We need to learn this type of attitude, of desire, to foster this among the children. And the grandparents have a bit more reach because of their experience. There comes the sun. Here comes the sun. It's all right. We have lots of clouds between peoples in our time, and senseless slaughter, constant, regular, and also other very sad chapters that are kind of difficult to approach. From the very beginning of life, human beings are in danger from themselves. The violence that's done to each other. And this is the heart of God, to come and gather people of every nation. And obviously we don't have to read too much anymore although it's good to read a good deal, to read good literature, to know about the situation of the peoples around the world, their cultures, particularly the root cultures that have formed our cultures. That way we grow in self-understanding, why we think like we do, how we order society like we do. Also to know about our mistakes, our errors in the past, to deal with them. We can't stick our head in the sand and pretend it didn't happen, pretend there's no storm. But this vision of Isaiah is marvelous. And I'm going to gather a lot of these people and I'm going to send them as runners. They're going to run. They're going to run all over the whole world. And in all these countries, the names are lost now to us, to the distant coastlands that have never heard of my name or seen my glory. That was the great pride of the Jewish people, healthy pride, that they had seen the glory of God. They were so impressed. The parting of the Red Sea, the liberation of their people enslaved. The promises being fulfilled through God's right hand, his mighty hand. And they should bring all your brothers and sisters from all the nations. So, wow. All the nations are your brothers and sisters. This is 2,600 years ago, people. It takes a long time for us to learn and to put into practice. And that's why the heart of the person that ponders these things becomes a great treasure in a family. It can bring a little bit more even discourse into stuff that's relayed in the media, that attitudes that are expounded, that are excluding others. Excluding from even before birth to at the end of life. And these people that are sent out are going to proclaim God's glory among the nations. And that's what happened then. That's what happened. The whole world is familiar with the Bible. All the nations. You'll find Bible groups studying the Bible in all the nations, in the mountains of the Himalayas and the Andes and the Amazon, and even in Ireland. In China, in Japan, the remotest parts. This place is completely empty, almost. There was a fire here last night, somebody cooking something probably. I see somebody over there, their elbow came up over the bench, so we'll leave them in their serenity and peace. And then it says that these people are going to come from all the nations to Jerusalem, bringing their offerings to the Lord. And even some of them he will take to be as priests and Levites, like to incorporate them into the priesthood of true worship of God. And that was just by biological descent, but there God is going to adopt them in. I feel touched by that today. I felt that call 51 years ago, and sensed it a bit earlier than that, when I was at the end of grade school. And that got lost in my memory until the end of high school, when it was rekindled in a powerful way, decisive way. But I had forgotten about it completely until a few years ago. And one of my sisters reminded me about an essay we had to write at the end of grade school. But that's a story for another day. And then we have the psalm here, which is headed by a line from Mark's Gospel, "Go out to the whole world and tell the good news." So that's really an echo of Isaiah. And I'm dwelling a little bit longer on this reading today because it gives us a perspective also to understand the very, you could call them harsh texts that we have in the gospel particularly. But even the letter to the Hebrews is not pleasant to the ear, as we don't like to be disciplined. But just like parents orient their children, and Bishop Barron goes into that in depth in his commentary today, very worthwhile, it's not done out of hatred to the children. On the contrary, it's done because the parents love them. It's very hard to discipline a child. It's hard work. Parents have to go through a lot. They have to overcome themselves. If the parents who don't discipline their children are doing their children a terrible disfavor, because a child has to learn to discipline themselves, and we human beings don't like that without being encouraged and shown consequences for not doing it. And that's not easy. To ask for accountability, to give instruction that changes lives. And so then the question about how many will be saved, people get hung up on this many times, but there was a great piece of advice, I forget which saint said this, but live in a way that corresponds to God saving you by His grace. Don't live in a way of the lost, that have no clue about God's love, that have no clue about the meaning of life, that are clueless. Live in a way that corresponds to the great calling we have, the great dignity we have as human beings, the great responsibility we have towards others. People, God bless you. Have a blessed Sunday. Rejoice that God wants us all. And let's live up to that with God's grace, with His help. See you later, alligators. There are a lot more lines in there in the scriptures that are worthwhile pondering, but you got Sunday to do that today. This is just a little kickstart in the morning. God bless you all.